Hi everyone, Troy Martin, TM Fitness. Let's talk about male physiques. Okay, so recently I did a video on female body composition. It was quite well received on social media. I think the message was quite positive and that went down quite well. So let's do the same thing for men. So there's usually two reasons guys start looking at body composition. They either want to lose body fat or they want to gain muscle. You can of course say that you want to tone up. Technically it's not correct, and toning up is usually associated with females, whereas blokes want to talk about getting ripped and buff. So first of all, let's do a little bit of thinking about this. So first of all, you need to think about your goals. What is it that you're trying to achieve and how are you going to achieve this? Whichever your goal is, whether it's to get leaner or get bigger, I want you to think about something first. Are you aiming for that to compensate for a lack of happiness or self-esteem? Do you think that getting a rippling six-pack is going to make you happy because you're not happy or content with who you are now? Do you think that, you know, being able to wear shorts because you've got massive quads and filling out your t-shirt with your big guns is going to make you happier because you've got bigger muscles and you're more macho? Or are you going to go down a dark rabbit tunnel trying to find some form of happiness compensating for something that should be in here that isn't there? Because let me tell you this, no matter how big your muscles get, no matter how lean and ripped your six-pack is, if you're not happy within yourself, if you're not content and confident within yourself, you won't be then either. It'll always be a compensation. Yeah? Happiness and contentedness is about how you feel about yourself within yourself, regardless of your set of circumstances. And if you don't have that, a six-pack or massive muscles isn't going to make you feel any better about yourself. You're just going to be miserable and ripped. Now, like with the females, and there's a lot of social pressure and media pressure on females to look a certain way, there is now with men as well. I mean, a classic example of this is Will Smith in the film I Am Legend. If you remember that film, he was like, I don't know, what was he, like a biochemist or something like that, and the guy's ripped. He looks like a $40 million a year athlete. I mean, yeah, great if, you know, the scientists that I've met don't have the time to spend that amount of time focusing on their physique, on their diet and their training. So, you know, this whole kind of superhero look at my physique kind of mentality that is pushed and rammed down our throats now, it's as damaging for some males as it is for some females. Aim to be the best version of you that you can be, not the best version that, you know, Muscle and Fitness magazine says you should be. Fat loss, you need to be in an energy deficit. It doesn't matter what you eat, you know, to an extent. It doesn't matter what you eat, it matters how much you're eating. If you're not in an energy deficit, regardless of the food that you're eating, regardless of how many supplements you're taking, you're not going to lose weight. Okay, so make sure you're in around it, because you're going to be active, so you don't want to be in too big a deficit. If you're going to be training, you want to be able to fuel your training sessions, so being around a 10% calorie deficit consistently, and that doesn't mean doing it for 5 days and then having the weekend off and then, you know, making up for that deficit and then some with cheat meals and beer and pizza and all sorts of crap. So you're in your deficit, you're working out and you're losing body fat steadily. Around a pound a week would be a good level to aim for. The leaner you get, the slower it's going to be. It might be less than a pound a week, it might be half a pound a week. You just got to be realistic about this. It's going to take time. Stubborn belly fat is a thing that I hear people talk about. You know, I get asked this a lot. How can I get rid of my stubborn belly fat? There's no such thing. Stubborn belly fat is when you're 6% body fat and you want to get down to 4% body fat for a stage show or a photo shoot. Okay, and then that's when you might need to take some thermogenic aids or up your cardio or go even deeper into your calorie deficit. For the rest of you, there's no such thing as stubborn belly fat. It's just belly fat, and you need to be leaner than you realise in order to get the six-pack that you're looking for. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight. If you're 16, 17, 18% body fat, you're going to have to lose, you know, nearly half of that to get your visible six-pack. For most people, somewhere around 12, 10, 8% is going to be, you know, where you need to be. The leanest I've ever been was 7%, and I hated it. I looked like I was a refugee from Auschwitz. Not politically correct, I know, but you know, I was like that. So athletes that you see on the TV, a lot of the footballers and the rugby players and a lot of the track and field athletes you see in the Olympics, they're ripped. A lot of them have visible six packs, but most of them aren't going to be in single figures of body fat percentage. So you don't need to be aiming for that extreme level of leanness that the magazines will throw at you. It's not healthy and it's not necessary. It's not going to make you a better recreational athlete, for instance. Okay, and then muscle building. You want to get bigger, you need to eat in an energy surplus, but not a massive one, around 5% above your maintenance calories. The longer you're in the surplus for, the more body fat you will gain. So you might want to do this in cycles, go for 6, 8 or 12-week cycles, and then diet down for a few weeks, a month or two, and then go for another bulking phase. That's one way of doing it. Protein doesn't need to be massive. If you're in an energy deficit, you need to be at least 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. If you're in an energy surplus, you need to be in 2 grams per kilogram of body weight at most. It doesn't have to be huge. You do need to get your carbs in to fuel your training. You do need to get your healthy fats in. You do need to be eating plenty of vegetables and some fruit, because this is all good stuff for you. All the micronutrients are going to feed your muscles and aid your recovery. And one thing that a lot of the guys really overlook and really struggle with, especially the younger guys, is their sleep. If you're a stress head, if you're anxious and angry all the time, you're living in your head, get out of your head and concentrate on trying to get at least 8 hours sleep a night, because if you're not sleeping, you're going to be losing your gains. Growth hormone and testosterone are released during your sleep. So if you're only getting 4 hours sleep a night, you're losing your gains. Aim for 8 hours sleep. And if you can't sleep, work out why and then work on that. Okay guys, it's a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions, put them in the box and I'll catch you soon. Laters.